If you got hit in the eye, smash. Not long ago, a former national swimming athlete had an accident at a golf course. It seems that the former national athlete was sued for negligence because a ball he hit while playing golf injured Mr. A's left eye, who was on a different hole. The court ruled that the responsibility to prevent safety accidents lies with the golf course management and the caddies, and therefore there was no liability for damages. However, a civil lawsuit has been filed. So what happens if during a game on the tennis court, one gets hit in the eye by an opponent's smash? About 10 years ago, there was a court ruling, and to sum it up, the compensation was ruled to be 90-1. In other words, the person who got hit in the eye was deemed to be 10% responsible, while the person who hit them in the eye was deemed to be 90% responsible for the damages. Generally, one might think this is a difficult ruling to understand, but the key point is that it emphasizes a situation where there is no time to evade in relatively close proximity. In a ruling, various factors such as distance, age, and experience should be considered, making it difficult to reach a straightforward conclusion. The purpose here is not to dispute the legal ruling. There is always a possibility of a small mishap occurring while playing together with fellow members in the same club. In particular, fellow members who use smashing as their weapon or have a strong forehand may have experienced getting hit by the ball on their body or face at least once or twice. The probability of getting hit in the eye is very low, and I have not heard of any particularly bad incidents. However, if it hits directly in the eye or hits the center with significant force, it becomes uncertain what kind of injury may occur. If the severity of the injury is serious, the situation changes. The incident at the golf course also led to a lawsuit due to the severity of the injuries and considering the medical expenses. For the case of being hit in the eye by a smash, it is clear that the injuries were likely severe. Personally, I think there was an incident where a ball that was deemed a decisive point was hit hard and struck the opponent's center. The opponent lay on the ground expressing pain, and those around did not laugh or think it was strange. However, as time went on, the atmosphere became tense, and with numerous apologies and hints that a hospital visit was necessary, the game ended that day. Fortunately, I received a call saying that I welcomed the morning without any significant side effects, but there were issues at the club for a while, and some unpleasant memories lingered. If it had been an injury serious enough to require hospital treatment, it seems that many additional situations would have been unfavorable, regardless of the medical expenses. If we were to strictly determine whose fault it was, it would be the person who hit. No, it means that 90% of the responsibility can be assigned. Unlike golf, tennis is played in a limited space. So it must be played under the premise that the opponent can always hit the ball. On the contrary, one might think that it is not wrong to adjust the game based on the premise that it is a limited space where the ball can hit the body as much as possible. However, if the extent of the injury is severe, the situation changes. If there is no mutual agreement, we have to go to court. Moreover, even if a ruling is made that there is no legal liability, civil lawsuits for medical expenses and damages can still arise. In the case of swimmer Mr. A, he may have avoided criminal liability. But a civil lawsuit is ongoing, and there could be an unfortunate situation where he has to engage in legal disputes for a while. Of course, professional players are subject to the regulations and rules of the ATP and WTA. So what should we do? To put it simply, we must turn our backs unconditionally. Even if you ruin the game or lose, turning your back is the right answer, even if it makes you look like someone who can't play. Experts will naturally avoid it, but if you're a Terran or have been playing for less than 2 years, it's even more so. In fact, there are a few people in the same team who are designated to hit the balls that come their way. Rather than saying that the person who gets hit by the ball is predetermined, there may be types of players who have a higher probability of being hit. In particular, when a player who prefers volleys plays with a partner who is a beginner, the chances of getting hit by short balls and short lobs increase. Be cautious, especially if the game is heated and the player has a particularly strong desire to win. The beginner must always turn their back, and the expert must hit the ball in a way that doesn't suit their body. The type of person you must absolutely avoid is someone who justifies their actions by saying, "How can I control that? I'm not a professional player." Or all the good players do that. It's okay to aim for the opponent's body. It's fine in tennis. You need to be cautious of people who say such things. If there is a habitual offender, the team president or treasurer should give a warning. If it's hard to control, it's better for both of us not to play the game together. If there's no other choice, we can just meet at the baseline instead of playing online. If you think, "How can I hit the target when I have no athletic ability?" then that person is ignorant and uninformed. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and Alcaraz have no athletic sense. Does the ball hit their bodies? The fact that the ball is faster than a person is an unchanging truth. If playing tennis, which is supposed to be exercise, causes harm to me or someone else, then it's better not to play at all. If an activity that is supposed to be fun, relieve stress, and promote health ends up being harmful, it deviates from its original purpose. Even if it's a statistically unlikely story, I considered, what if I get hit by the opponent's smash? With just a little attention, you can enjoy a great game of tennis. Please send out a subscription of empathy.